that idea, there was that interview that Bradford Morrow did with you in 1989, in which he was reminded of that oracle of yours, write everything.
Write everything. Mm-hmm.
Opposite of write anything. So we talked about that a little bit, and a little bit about your connection to Olson and Projectiverse, that famous essay. So they have some context, and so maybe they can hear you for a while, then they can ask you some questions that I can right now. So.
I'm glad you mentioned Olson. I have so many grandfathers that none in real life. I never had grandparents, so I was very happy to collect a few optional ones later. So I gather from Professor Abbott that your group there have just started looking at or are beginning to discuss my book called Uncertainties. Let me say about it that it's the second book in a series of 5 long poems. The first, called Fire Exit, then came Uncertainties, then after that came the hexagon, long, boring, single-line stanzas. Then comes Heart Thread, which will be published next year. And then the last of the 5 is a book called Calls, C-A-L-L-S, which I just finished this a month ago. That's maybe as long as the others. So those 5 books represent, for me, the, I would say the culmination, but the refocusing of a life's work in poetry. I've been writing for half a century or something, and in that time I've been working in all different kinds of ways. Lyric, narrative, dramatic, plays, novels, short stories, essays. My collected essays, a book is fat enough to cause damage if it fell on you. It just was published a few months ago. I've written in all different kinds of forms, and these 5 poems, these 5 long poems, are an attempt to draw everything together into one lyric stream. Anyway, so I'll read a few from Uncertainties, if I may. If you have the books there or nearby, you can follow along if you like. I'm going to start with number 42. A man stood up before the word was ready. Then it was, and then he was. We are spoken. A winter mind, they said, all stored with springtime. No names, please, we're islanders alone. If you fall in love, what breaks your fall? Something always coming down. All my secrets you have sent away to be someone else's mystery, to be myself, to be oneself boring as the sky, to be someone's heart sound asleep, a dying banker groaning with desire. Too many animals for names or numbers. Let me just call you, you, forever. And you can be whoever you want. I love you also when you turn away. Now I'll read section 64.
Page 82.
The world's a lot of money for a family quarrel. We're the garage where someone's auto's stored. We are mice in the shadows of machine. We have all our sciences to ease anxieties, our poesies to speed us to sleep. Sometimes big doors open by themselves, it seems. Light floods in the dirty little windows only hinted at. We stand astonished as the thing rolls in. All history is scarred of such arrivals. Prizes for meekness and desuetude. The earth shall inherit the earth. So Isis woke and looked about her. She still is looking. We call it our thinking. It is she who haunts our neurology, hunting for the absent gesture, father power lost somewhere in the mess of meat. She plucks the strings of me, you too, muchacha, till the girl in us stands like the man she lost. Then Osiris wakes. Oh, sir is us. We are children, we pretend, don't understand. You don't need any other book but this. It's all in here. Only the stories are left out. And this is 72. I've been choosing these sections rather randomly, things that I like or things that I don't know very well. When you write a lot, eventually you lose touch with everything. Not everything, some things. You who... is written on the board. Yeah, that's the page now. I see. Yes, I thought I had to read that.
Well, you don't have to read that.
You who rested lovelorn hips on granite, waiting for the sheep to come back to life. But winter is forever. Summer's just some colors, soon gone. Add it all up and subtract me. Kids on the fire escape wait for the air. Under the streets, the sewer's urgent dictionary. It reasons us right out the door. Bougainville sails home perplexed. I learned all this in the islands, so simple. Women came first, men are their creatures. The latter never figure out the former puzzle all life long at what she's made and why. Go stand in the sunshine. Go wake your shadow. It knows the whole story, but it's raining. So many curious customs of humankind, sad little girls playing house with the world. And now, 92. It's page 112, 92. Let me lean the other way, a four-sided triangle for Aristotle. Certain men were walking through the sky. Politics, the art of distracting the poor from their poverty. Come down the road, Yeats said. Get freedom. You still break stone. He said. Certain men are walking in the sky, I said. I see their shadows ripple on my book. I watch them shift the clouds around. I try to copy what I see, their words are part of it. Shadows of shadows, don't get mad. We know who we are. We're born this way. There are things men can say that men can't think. He spoke to the young man. The young man rose in fire. Go listen to the Carolina wren above the barn, louder than your neighbor's wind chimes tolling. Afternoon is on its way out. The wind comes up. The wolf comes out. One more day to understand. I don't want to touch you. I want to remember. Why do we have to go on talking when there still is light? The italicized lines there represent variation, distortion of an incredible poem by William Butler Yeats, famous for his rich, lush imagery, the beautiful romanticism, the Irish twilight. But one of his great poems says just this. Parnell, the great liberator, the great agitator for social justice and freedom in Ireland, Parnell came down the road and said to a cheering man, Ireland shall get her freedom and you still break stone. That's the whole poem. The political agitation doesn't necessarily liberate the poor. The American Revolution is a good example of that. We shifted English landlords out and chose American wealthy landlords and brought them in. That's another story. But it's a story you should all know, especially in Pequot country, where you live out there. I wish we could have come over to Hartford. My wife, Charlotte, was born in Hartford, so I have a certain affection for that area, a considerable affection. But that's the area where the Indians were fiercest against each other and against the others, the us's. So what I'd like to do now is read the last few sections of the book continuously, starting on page 120. Number 120, which is on page 143. Just to show you how it feels to read one after another. As often as I came here, you were there before me. That's where there is, the place where you always are. A place that binds me to approach. I bring tired answers to questions no one asked. As long as language, this wooden road, boardwalk by the sea, as never get wet. Your eyes exactly level with horizon. You are there, and thus it is almost night. I am the small figure far away you see, coming towards you over salt-bleached stones. 121. It all does come back to you. Pity like a pop song and no apocalypse. No lips of any kind, these songs are mute. The music fled, you monies echo only. Ribbon unwound from round her hair falls to my fingers. After all, I loop it loose over a pile of mildewed books, old postcards, because every place you stand is church. Home you carry in your body, honey from before Noah's flood, eternal amber. 122. When you can't tell the beginning from the end, the empty chairs stand around, you hear them talk. When they cut the ribbon stretched along the sky, a boy you sent out for milk comes home with children of his own. There are no radios in this country. We listen with our eyes now, and it makes us blind. Wait, the bridges over the Hudson sag at last. The catenary moment comes to every couture. There are high points, and we droop between them. When we touch the lowest point, the Turks rush in. The moon we honor with our worship cracks. The big bite in her means we're not allowed to say. We are silenced not by censors, but by our secrets. Our unspoken vision is our whole magic power. If you tell it to the doctor, it makes you weak. Who am I to tell you what to do? 123. I am the other side of your mind. I am the listener. Without me, you're incomplete. Liberty is moonlight. There must be something more. But already the way you walk gives yourself away. Baffled by everything, open all the hydrants. I need a different answer, a word to swim upstream, to write new Bibles with. Nothing ambiguous is ever green. I placed my right hand on the pictures and swore, I will decipher this skin, I will inhabit this image. He was born in 7 places, married just in 1. Black hotel down the corridor, the moon is waiting. We get what's coming to us, then the light goes off. We ate a rose last night, still here at morning. 124. The animals pay taxes too. Nothing is easy inside the lunosphere. We are too far from food. The bird wakes us. Who wakes the bird? How much does the wind weigh? Sunlight is asleep behind my eyes. But suppose it is the body that is identity, the face just a screen we more or less control. Shall I not read your inmost heart by studying your hips, he wrote. Wrists say more than writing fingers do. A drumbeat in a handy jungle. Be quiet now and let it listen in you, it said he heard. 125. Just give me something to interpret, and I'll be your flower too. A bristly business with glottal stops, Hawaiian, every color trapped in red and blue. Wound-wise the woman is, peculiar sparkle on the shallow channel. Light pretends to be alive the way we do, molecular mayhem in the harem of skin. Why do you show yourself to me across the function of absolute, if vague, identity? We live upright in slender boxes, by grace of bone and sinew move. I walk myself around like a puppet, worked by lines of power from below. Sometimes my hands are free to write you letters. Sometimes you remember to answer me. It's always you and me, this language stuff. But the me changes, just as much as the you does. One and one pretending to be three. My final politics is licking your skin. Look out hard at the plausible lagoon, rowers sculling in the morning rain. Past a big white church like a doorknob to unlock the earth and let us out. Dear friend, we invented people, someone I can talk to all night long. That's the end of Uncertainties, and I want to end the reading part of our meeting by honoring a superstition of mine. I don't know how Professor Abbott views superstitions. I'll let him discuss that later. But I wanted to show you just my notebook. I write in notebooks longhand, mostly. And I want to read the most recent poem written. That's my superstition, to end every reading with the most recently written poem. Everyone's going to be late for work because there are roses still on the bush, or because a thin veil of clouds still lets through the blue, or the roads are clear, too clear, like cunning salesmen abusing the rational mind.